learned about solar energy today, a lot about it. The different forms of solar energy.
I think they'll be really inspired that they're going to see it and they're going to want to go out there and do it.
Well, I want to do engineering, so I just go to college for it and then try to be an intern.
I've thought a lot about the electric car. I've thought a lot about going into that field.
I like the solar panels a lot because I think that'd be good something for my future. Solar panels are cool pretty much.
You know, a cosmic event like this, like the eclipse, is the teachable moment in educational parlance. That is the time when everything aligns, including the sun, the moon, and the earth, but everything aligns in order to make it possible for students to understand what is going on in the cosmos. So we are springboarding on the eclipse, and we're asking the students to extend their interest in the sun and their focus on the sun to include, what if we were able to use the sun to power up our lives, power up our planet? A cheap, affordable, readily accessible source of power for the millions and the billions.
Okay, this is where you would put paper. Put this towards the sun. This is like the lens.
It's demystifying this whole process by which electricity is produced from sunlight. We have solar engineers here talking to the students, showing them about how the solar panels talk to the batteries, how the batteries converse with the inverter, what all those things mean, and how they work together in order to produce power that is potentially enables people to become self-reliant from an energy standpoint.
I'm going to kind of make it look like it's space shuttle if it's okay with you.
Okay. This is the thing that needs to be.
We are here visiting the solar exhibit Off the Grid to get kids more aware about being off the grid and using solar energy. A lot of them have no idea that this is available. I know the electric company in our area, if you have solar panels, you can get paid back for that energy that you're using in your house. So it's an opportunity that they might have one day. They're all about what's going on right now with the eclipse, and so this is just heightening their awareness of what could be out there for solar use and more electricity. There's possibilities to help other people, like when they were talking about taking those to Africa to help get them a water pump through the solar energy, and so maybe they would be interested in doing something like that where they could help somebody one day. We really appreciate them inviting us. They invited our group at no cost to us, going to feed us lunch, and so it's a great opportunity for the kids.
Wait, was I supposed to use all this tape?
I think what people were most impressed about were the solar panels because you know, it's pretty much free energy developed by our star, making clean, brand new energy. Some students were really impressed by solar power, how it pretty much has evolved over the years.
Well, one of the things I'm excited about for today is that they get to experience things that they may not have seen or heard about before, whether it's a new technology or something else that creates some little aspect of excitement. And ultimately, I think as young science students or young students anywhere, when you can breed a sense of interest and curiosity, then it's going to somehow or another prolong their lifelong adventure in new technologies. And in this case, it's about the sustainability. It's about solar and wind power and other technologies. And I'm excited for these students to be able to be a part of this.
I think one of the greatest things we learned today was like how we can use solar power energy instead of using like fossil fuels so we can have a cleaner environment. I'm not really that much into science, but today I got a bigger view on what science really actually is, and now I'm thinking maybe I could be more into the engineering pathway.
I think we're trying to give them some tools or get them interested in learning how to use these tools for having a better life, for having a sustainable future. I hope that we've influenced them to be more interested in science and in the engineering and math skills, where their energy comes from and how that impacts the earth.
I believe this festival is going to be an eye-opener for a lot of people for what's coming in the future. New technologies to share, a lot of innovations, a lot of new ideas, Kids, I believe, don't know which direction they want to take in life. They're not exposed to what industries are out there that they can go into. And the more industries that they're exposed to, the more options they have to choose from to take off and carry on in the future. I believe what the kids will pick up here today at this festival is the terminology from these different industries, and in that way they can learn this terminology and take it with them as they start growing and learning. And it's very interesting for them to start going down the path of a certain industry and learning that terminology. It just broadens their horizon, and it also makes an eye-opener for people that know this kid has a lot of knowledge because of the terminology they're speaking in that industry, and they can be picked up quickly.
I think it's fun to see the children get excited about that solar power works. You know, just even a pump in a panel makes water pump out of the ground, and seeing that happen I think is exciting for me and for the kids. But I think also just feeling like it's okay to have their own gift and their own interest and their own specialty that they can put forth towards this movement in a positive direction, where we are nurturing the earth, following the sun more carefully and paying attention to the seasons and our own energy usage. We first looked at just a solar panel and what it looks like and how it's made of solar cells and all the components. I had a voltmeter so we could measure the voltage and the current, what the panel was producing in the sun, and just showed them how the cells all are lined up together to add up voltages to get up to the operating voltage of the solar panels. So I hooked it up to a DC fan. As soon as it was shining in the sun, the fan would run, and it was kind of fun because the students were gathered around.
There you go.
0.3 volts.
But how about this one?
Just by being so close to the solar panel, even though it was a sunny day, the fan didn't work at first, and they were shading the panel from the sun. So they figured that out and moved away, and then the fan started running fast. And then we looked at direct current runs in one direction. So let's see what happens if we reverse the two leads, the positive and negative. And so the fan would run in reverse. So then we talked about, well, that's if the sun's shining, but if there's no sun, what do you do? And they figured out, well, batteries. And so I had a battery, and we looked at connecting the solar panel to the battery and hooked that up, and they could measure, again, the voltage of the battery, the voltage of the solar panel, and see that the voltage of the solar panel is a little bit higher than what's in the battery. So that was able to push power into the battery because there's more pressure. I find that for me personally, the renewable energy industry has been a real joy to be involved with, primarily because of the relationships I've made with other people and the opportunity to have people sort of fulfill their dreams of wanting to either be off the grid or have a smaller environmental footprint, or have some water pumped out of the ground for their homes in rural parts of the world. I just hope that this is a jump-off point for us to keep moving ahead and stop being quite so dependent on things that are polluting our earth.
They have to actually see the logical evolution that's going on. There's something really wonderful is happening. We are surrounded by free energy. We are coming across a threshold that is every bit as important as the clay pot was in moving mankind from hunter-gatherers to agrarian civilization. Once they could store it, then they could farm and build a better society. Well, I hope we can plant the seed of sustainability being a lifestyle choice. You need to change what you buy, from things that are large, very energy intensive, to smaller things, because there's a logical evolution. You are moving to the next level. Once it's got a DC power plug, we can make it run directly on the sun, independent of the power grid.
Well, I think there's a strong feeling around here of the interconnectedness of all things and renewable energy sources. And once the people become aware that the energy they're using is not renewable, then it becomes finite, and that's not sustainable. And what is sustainable is to be able to interact with this earth in a way that you can continuously renew it. I believe this particular event is motivating, it's inspirational, it allows these young people to get a friendly, up close and personal look at some alternative ways to do things, and asking these children to question everything and come up with things that are going to be able to be replicated so that can sustain them, so they're things they can do for the rest of their lives.
We had two goals. One goal was for students to learn that renewable energy jobs, that's the fastest growing job sector. And we see that solarizing houses, solarizing farms, solarizing businesses is going to be as instrumental for this area as the Rural Electrification Act was back in the 1930s. So we want to give people up here an opportunity to see that solar is a real possibility, and it's not so hard to get. The other thing is the students got to learn about the physics and myths of the eclipse. And this was really important because this was the only opportunity for the high school students of Fannin County to really get a chance to study about how the eclipses work and what sort of effects the sun and the evolution of stars has on our planets.
This is a wonderful event. I'm really glad that this was put together this year. I think it's the first ever Get Off the Grid Festival. This is a wonderful event, and I hope to see it again next year. Solar power, solar energy is an emerging field, or has been an emerging field for quite some time. So seeing it firsthand and being able to kind of touch and feel and maybe actually talk with the people responsible for some of these initiatives, I think that students are going to get the impression that this is not just some kind of fringe things. This is really something that's serious, and that there's a future in America for solar power, and that if they study science and they study math, that they're going to be able to propel themselves and set themselves up for a good future in perhaps something like solar energy or any sustainable energy, so that they can better their future and the future for their kids and any generations after that.